Alright, so we've got a video, and it has a background, and it has some text that fades in and even goes into an effect. This would probably be good for an opening screen, but probably not something we'd want to look at through the whole video. So I think what might really help us here would be if we added another background to this so that we could lay some text over top of it. So I'm going to go to Add Media. I'm going to grab Clammy, which I have reformatted so that Clammy will be the right size. So let's take a look by moving our playhead how that works. Woof! Man, talk about turning a light switch on and off. That's kind of crazy. Let's add a transition. Let's see if we can get those things to crossfade. So I'm going to come over here, and this is how we do that. We're going to select a transition, and you'll notice down here it says 1 second for the duration. I'm going to click and drag, pull that down. If I wanted to make my transition last longer, you can see we get this tool here where we can lengthen the timeline. So now we can roll back and do a scrub here, and things look really nice. Beautiful transition, but our text blinks in and out. So I think what I'd like to see here would be that this is going to extend for about, I think 18 seconds is good. So now our video length has just changed to 18 seconds. Okay, and our text is a little wacky here. Let's open this up and see what we can do to make this fade out a little bit more uniformly. So if I click in here in opacity, move my playhead down to the end, I can click on the add a keyframe, and I can come over here and take my fill or my opacity, whichever you prefer, down to 0, and so now my text fades out. We could also have a little bit of fun here with the text warp, and we can come up here under type, go to warp text, and let's take this back the other way. Let's see what we get now. So I'm going to come over here to my playhead, and that's not exactly what I had hoped, but I think what we can do is to drag this playhead, this keyframe back a little bit over to here. We're going to pull our playhead down here, and I'm going to add yet another keyframe, and we're going to come up here under type and go to warp text, and let's go to the other side of 0, and now let's see what we've got. So I think we get a little bit more motion this way. So our text fades on straight, and then we fade out. Alright, so this is looking pretty good. I'm going to save this right now, and before we go any further, I think we could add some of our fun facts here. So I just happen to have reformatted one of our fun facts in Adobe Illustrator. So our text here, the world is your oyster, and this text, let's see what happens if I try and cut and paste this. I'm going to highlight this text, and I'm going to copy it. Okay, let's go back to Photoshop. All right, and I'm going to come over here and collapse that menu. Let's click Add a New Video Group. So now we've got 3. All right, and I'm going to click with my text cursor somewhere in the middle here. Not in that layer. Do not want that layer. Let's click here. Oh my goodness, it's moving my playhead all around. So let's come back out here where there's nothing much going on. I'm going to click one more time, and I'm going to paste this text. There we go. So our text right now is left justified. Let's center justify it. Okay, and we'll pull this up. And now let's take a look at what we've got in our layer menus here. So layer 1, not sure what that is. Let's delete that. I'm going to hit the delete key. Okay. The world is my oyster. Yes, I like that, but we need to move this down in a timeline so that we're not overlapping text. So we can pull this out. There we go. Now I've got that. I think the text is in a very light area, so what I'd like to do is to add a drop shadow. So to add that drop shadow, I'm going to come down here in my layer palette. I'm going to add a layer style. So let's click on drop shadow, and we'll move this a little bit out of the way. I think that's looking pretty good. Why don't we make this a blue color? Okay. I think that looks really nice in the video. Probably not quite so much contrast. Let's desaturate a little bit there and see what that does for us. Ooh, looking really good now. So now we have our text. The only problem is that it probably is going to blink on, which we do not want. So we know how to fix that. We can do an opacity fade on that. So I'm going to come back into here right about there. And I'm going to click my timeline. And let's set this opacity to 0. And we can set our length of our time all the way down to the end. Alright, because once it comes up, it's up. And then we'll give it how long? Let's say it came on at what? 10 seconds. Doesn't need more than 1.5 seconds to fade on. So I'm going to click my keyframe down here once more. I'm going to jack my opacity up to 0, and let's see how that works. So there's my Oyster. Let's go back here, and we're going to highlight all this text. I'm going to copy it, and come back to Photoshop, and let's add something else. Let's see, we're probably going to need to add another media group to do this. So let's hit Add Media Group, and I'm going to move my playhead to right there. Actually, you probably want it after the title has come up fully, so let's move it to there. And now I'm going to take my text cursor and click here. And let's see, it seems to move new objects all the way back, so let's come here. What did we say? 12 seconds maybe? Alright. And we're going to click again, and let's paste that. So now we've got it. We do not need this. I'm going to delete that. Let's move this down in our timeline, and now we can reposition this text. Alright, so now we've got that. And probably need to fade that on and off as well. So let's take our video background and our video title. Push those to the end, and here we can change our opacity once again. So move our playhead back, click on the keyframe, fade the opacity back down, come over to here, fade the opacity back. Oops, need to click a keyframe, fade the opacity back up, and voila. So let's take a look. Let's see how this all works together. The world is your oyster, did you know? I think this is looking pretty good. So, bit by bit we're getting there. We could probably also transition on this text if we wanted to, but for now, let's leave it this way. And I think this is a good point to show you how to render and let you guys play with this. So, let's come over here to Export, and we are going to render to video. And we have all these settings. So H.264 is a very useful compression format that is widely used nowadays. We're going to keep our YouTube video setting in case we wanted to show this up on YouTube. We're going to range all frames. And we have our title, Oyster 1. So I think that's going to be pretty good. It's going to go into our video assets folder. Always important to know where it's going. Let's click Render. And after I click Render, you will. There's no point in having you guys watch the green progress bar. So I will post both the final video and this video so that you guys can see it. Have a great day.